Hi, and welcome to this Microsoft Build session on Enterprise Dapper at Scale. So happy that you're here and looking forward to a great session where we're going to dive deep into Diagrid and Dapper. So before we kick things off, I'll do a quick introduction. My name is Kendall Roden. I am a product manager at Diagrid. Prior to joining Diagrid, I was a product manager at Microsoft working on the Azure Container Apps team. So, Diagrid, if you're unfamiliar, is a company that was launched in 2022 by the co founders of the Dapper project, Mark Fussell and Yaron Schneider, to ultimately take the Dapper project and build on top of it to make it accessible to more people and to make it easier to use. And so ultimately, Diagrid is really driven by this mission of boosting developer productivity by providing tools and APIs for building and operating cloud native applications. And that really centers around the foundation of the distributed application runtime project. So if you're unfamiliar with this, don't worry, we're going to cover it in just a couple of slides. But ultimately, Diagrid offers two products today. Diagrid Conductor, which helps operators manage and observe Dapper at scale, and Diagrid Catalyst, which allows you to access a serverless set of Dapper APIs from any platform. So, what we're really going to focus on in this session today is how both Dapper and Diagrid can help lower your burden, risk, and spend when trying to build and architect these distributed applications on Azure and beyond. So, in order to answer this question, we have to make sure everybody is aware of what Dapper is and why it was created. So, Dapper was created by Microsoft in 2019 and released as an open source project, really with the goal of providing developers with a way to tackle some of the complexity that was being introduced into the software process with the introduction of new platforms, architectural patterns, so on and so forth. So it really provided an API layer between distributed application workloads and the infrastructure those workloads depend on. Dapper provides a way for developers to decouple themselves from some of these infrastructure specific concerns by essentially providing a reliable application level API. And this API surface essentially codifies a series of patterns and practices that developers can leverage directly from their code. So if we look on the left, we can think of our applications running on Kubernetes. And instead of talking directly to the underlying infrastructure that these distributed apps need to do things like distributed communication or data storage, they can talk to the API layer. So this removes specific infrastructure SDKs and libraries directly from the application code. And what's nice about this is when we move to the right side, we can see that developers have a new level of portability. Their code is no longer tightly coupled to infrastructure, so they can use services in development that make the most sense and that provide the most cost savings, and then move, those infrastructure resources in production without that application code needing to change at all due to that unified standard API layer. This portability also allows developers to deploy their applications across Kubernetes distributions and cloud providers, leveraging native services on the platform of their choice without having to change their application code. Now that we all know what Dapper is and the problems it solves, we can focus on how far it's come since 2019. In the recent State of Dapper report from 2023, stakeholders reported seeing 30% or higher developer time savings when using Dapper, with over 95% of respondents on the survey saying that Dapper saves developer time. Dapper usage also continues to scale to this day. There are several case studies showcasing how a large number of enterprises are leveraging and taking advantage of Dapper. Dapper is also now the 12th largest CNCF project. With the number of enterprises and organizations relying heavily on Dapper to power their mission-critical workloads, the need for open source support became a critical ask. Diagrid brings the most in-depth knowledge and expertise of Dapper, with a team of engineers focused solely on upstream fixes and contributions to ensure all bugs are mitigated for support customers. In addition to looking for support for the Dapper open source project, developers and operators running Dapper at scale also typically need support managing and operating Dapper on Kubernetes. Through years of working with individuals and teams using Dapper, common issues arise, including the manual upgrade process that's required, including the coordinated application rollouts. Staying up to date with Dapper versions can also prove challenging, and trying to rotate Dapper certificates can cause downtime if not properly done. With a lack of visibility into applications and Dapper dependencies, This can lead to over-resourced apps and sidecars and a lack of proper troubleshooting. To enable cluster administrators to run Dapr at scale without being Dapr experts, we created Diagrid Conductor. In order to onboard each of your Dapr-enabled clusters to Conductor, you'll create a cluster connection. The cluster connection specifies Dapr desired state configuration along with any agent configuration. This will then be deployed on the target cluster and deploy a Conductor agent along with a logs daemon set. The Conductor agent will continuously reconcile the Dapr deployment, and the logs daemon set along with the agent will report information that drive the Conductor dashboard. Let's take a deeper look into Conductor. Conductor supports all Kubernetes distributions, from AKS to local kind clusters. When onboarding the cluster connection, operators can give Conductor total control of the Dapr control plane and perform a fresh install or upgrade to the latest Dapr version. If the upgrade is unsuccessful, Conductor will perform an automatic rollback to save you from downtime. New Dapr versions are available within 24 hours, and you can tell Conductor to perform a rollout of some or all applications after an upgrade occurs. Conductor also handles Dapr configuration drift, certificate rotation, and more. Once the cluster connection has been created, you can apply it on the cluster of your choice to see it in the cluster dashboard. Conductor also provides powerful, up-to-date advisories to ensure Dapr is configured based on best practices. This includes security, reliability, performance, and observability. Advisories are grouped by severity and resolution status. Here we can see a high security vulnerability has been identified, as one of the Dapr components in the cluster includes a plain text secret. This should be secured using a Dapr secret store. Conductor provides over 30 advisories. These range from things like resource optimization suggestions to save you critical spend on resource consumption, to production recommendations around logging and high availability. Explore these and more in Conductor. Lastly, Conductor provides a cluster dashboard to surface critical metrics and logs issues from your Dapr control plane and application workloads. The application graph provides users with a visualization of all app interactions via the Dapr APIs, without tracing instrumentation required. You can isolate on apps and components to see specific metrics around error rate and latency to identify the root cause of a particular issue. Here, we can assume the Dapr workflow is having trouble publishing messages. We can also isolate in to see there's an issue in the receipt service as it attempts to invoke the order service. If we navigate to this application directly, we can see the metrics errors that are firing. We're then able to navigate to the source of the ongoing errors. Dapr debugging has just become much easier with Conductor's insights and error detection. If you're running Dapr in production on AKS, Diagrid Conductor is a solution for you. You can find it on the Azure Marketplace. There's also a free 30-day Conductor Enterprise trial that you can try out all of the features of Conductor. In addition, if you're a developer or new to Dapr, you can test out Conductor free. Its focus is to help developers get up and running with Dapr on a test cluster. In today's session, we've talked a lot about Dapr and the power of Dapr's APIs. We've also talked about Diagrid Conductor and how it makes running Dapr on Kubernetes easier. With 90% of Dapr running on Kubernetes today, one thing we haven't touched on is how developers can leverage Dapr outside of just a Kubernetes environment. Just as Dapr serves as a developer abstraction, there are also abstractions being built on top of infrastructure services to make them easier to operate and deploy to. Even in the CNCF survey in 2021, 79% of respondents said that they were using managed Kubernetes services, indicating Kubernetes becoming a lower level primitive and an infrastructure abstraction being built on top. There's also major growth in the serverless space as it removes the infrastructure considerations from the realm of the developer. We can see a variety of benefits to adopting serverless or even PaaS-based platforms, like increasing developer velocity and providing a series of managed services that make it easier to get up and running. We built Diagrid Catalyst for this set of users with the goal of bringing Dapr to a new audience. We've unlocked Dapr from Kubernetes, making it accessible via an API platform from absolutely any hosting service or compute. If we take a look at traditional Dapper, your code is hosted on Kubernetes and communicating to its Dapper sidecar over HTTP or gRPC. In the case of Catalyst, you can use the exact same application code and Dapper SDKs, but instead of your code talking directly from an application to a Dapper sidecar, your code can be hosted on absolutely any platform and makes a call to the Catalyst Developer API platform. This API platform exposes a set of the Dapper APIs that once again can be accessed using the existing Dapper SDKs. It also has a series of cross-cutting concerns, observability, and other features you would expect. In addition, there's also an option to use a managed message broker and a managed database in order to power the Catalyst Dapper APIs. This makes it easy to avoid infrastructure overhead when you're getting up and running. Catalyst is ultimately the easiest way to get started with Dapper and enables new Dapper use cases across Azure and beyond, allowing you to streamline and future-proof your application code, connect Azure applications across programming models, packaging formats, and hosting platforms. And it allows you to easily author multi-cloud or even cross-cloud applications and solutions with ease. Try out Catalyst today and let us know what you think. We'd love to see what you can build with it. Before we close out, I want to return to the question we asked at the beginning of today's session. How can Dapper and Diagrid lower your burden, risk, and spend when building and operating cloud-native distributed applications? Let's do a quick review. If you're new to Dapper or new to Dapper on AKS, I recommend going with Conductor Free. It allows individual developers to build and test Dapper applications on a single Kubernetes cluster. If you're already running Dapper at scale or in production on AKS, Conductor Enterprise is right for you. There's a free 30-day Conductor Enterprise trial, which can help you get up and running with the full feature set. Last but not least, if you're new to Dapper and running on non-Kubernetes platforms, Catalyst is absolutely the right service. We would love for you to sign up for the early access program and give us feedback, as well as try out a new exciting architecture using serverless Dapper. Thanks so much for watching our session. We look forward to connecting with you in the future. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us at Diagrid if you have any questions, and enjoy the rest of your build.